Beep, 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 beep. Morning, welcome, good afternoon, evening, hello. How you doing? Buy us coffee, be a warrior teacher. Oh no, can't be a warrior teacher, it's on hold. I forget myself sometimes, good people. It's great to speak to you again this morning. Had a fantastic day yesterday, went for a spot of lunch. Met with some good folks in the Maloo. Oh, tremendous. It's good stuff. It's Tory conference up here. Is it me or are they playing a blinder? There were so many angry people in my mentions yesterday. Fuming they was. Yep, right, okay, so. In all seriousness. Not something I say often. But this is serious today, okay? This is why it's an urgent update, because you'll need it for this morning. I've heard from an erstwhile warrior teacher with some details about what is happening today. The Judicial Review appeal for Women Scotland. For Women Scotland appeal their Judicial Review ruling on the definition of woman. This is why this is so important. Right, got to understand, we're in Scotland. We're up there again, okay? So, does the definition of woman under the Equality Act 2010 include biological males who've acquired a gender recognition certificate issued under the Gender Recognition Act 2004? Right, this is the kind of nonsense this act has caused, right? Yeah? In 2022, For Women Scotland brought a judicial review of the revised statutory guidance produced by Scottish ministers on the gender representation on public boards, Scotland 2018 bill. The guidance stated that for the purpose of the bill, the word woman included men with a gender recognition certificate calling themselves women. For Women Scotland contended this was unlawful as women is a sex. Woman is a sex. And when sex is referred to in the Equality Act 2010, it means biological sex. Right? Seems straightforward enough to me and people like you watching now. Judge Lady Haldane, who I've mentioned before, because that Haldane principle was a thing in science, in academia. It's an interesting one, this, isn't it? Haldane. I wonder if I still haven't found out if she's connected. Judge Lady Haldane disagreed and found in favour of the Scottish Government, ruling that sex is not limited to biological birth sex. Cuckoo. Just, it's like birdwatch. Cuckoo. Right? It's not. And that the sex of a person who holds a gender recognition certificate is altered in the eye of the law. Interesting. All right? Okay. For Women Scotland are appealing Lady Haldane's ruling on 5 grounds. Ground 1. The Lord Ordinary, which refers to Lady Haldane, misunderstood and failed to apply the relevant law as set out in the binding decisions of this court. Ground 2 is the Lord Ordinary misinterpreted and wrongly applied the Equality Act. Ground 3, the Lord Ordinary misinterpreted and wrongly applied the Gender Recognition Act 2004. Ground 4, the Lord Ordinary misinterpreted and wrongly applied the Gender Representation on Public Boards Scotland Act 2018. Okay? This is going to be heard, this particular appeal, in the Court of Session Inner House on Wednesday the 4th of October at 10:30, which is about 4 or 5 hours from now, okay? And it will, of course, be covered, as usual, by the excellent Tribunal Tweets, who we now know provide a tremendous public service. In fact, I think weren't they thanked by a judge once? I mean, a real judge. I don't mean like a judge on, Britain's Got Talent. I mean, a real judge. I actually think they were for their public service. So they'll be live tweeting the session, which you can follow online on Twitter. And what they've got in the article, everything of which is in the Dubras view, obviously, as usual, there are links to a selection of relevant press coverage about this case. So you can get yourself up to speed before you start watching. These links are... reading. These links are included without comment and are not endorsed by Tribunal Tweets. This is a sample of coverage only with most recent first. It is not comprehensive. Please DM our main Twitter account to submit coverage from an established news outlet. Any paywalled article must be archived if you're going to send them stuff, please. Yeah. So you've got references here from the BBC, For Women Scotland, Huffington Post, The Times, going right back to 2022, which gives you a good grasp of the history of this case and why it is so vital in this fight against the unreality of wokery and the unreality of gender identity ideology and the danger it poses to women, children, and gay and lesbian people. So I think a very important case, a very important one to follow today, something which should be of interest to many of my viewers. I sincerely hope, all you YouTubeites and Twitteroids out there, that this will be something that you will be paying attention to. Then in addition to that, they've also got their grounds of appeal available if you would like to read it. So they're actually giving you the whole grounds of appeal, which is what it's all about today. So they've lodged that, right? Now, this is important. I'll put the links in the doobers. I want to keep this short because I want you to get it early enough so that if you can make time to watch it and do all that sort of stuff. So I think it's really important that we do pay attention to what's happening today on Tribunal Tweets. They do offer a great service. It's insane, isn't it? It's insane that we've got to this position. Absolutely insane. But I'm glad to see that in Britain, in England at least at the moment, that the Tories seem to be rising to the challenge that is faced by us as a society when we have built a falsehood into law and allowed an American culture of grievance and oppression and power narratives to take over most of our beloved public institutions, in which case it has then been taken on by ideologues and the troglodytes, for example, in academia or in the NHS or in the civil service, and used as a big stick by which to hit people. So, because it's a victim movement, and victim movement always encourages people who are subclinically psychopathic. So I would say to you today that if you've got time, please do look in on what's happening. At Tribunal Tweets will be in the courtroom, giving you a breakdown of what's said by the witnesses, by the judges. And by watching that, you can see it unfold. It's fascinating. When you get to a point where something really important happens, everybody's sitting there going, refresh, refresh, refresh. For God's sake, refresh. Because you want to know what's happening next, I remember covering some of this when remember Stonewall, when some bloke needed a support dog and his mother was wiping his nose, whatever it was, right? So it will unfold in all its glory. And in addition, I believe that there is also a link in that article where you can actually either watch or listen in, I think. So I hope that proves useful today because it's a very important case. This is what I want you guys talking about today, right? I want you on Twitter saying, have you heard, have you watched? So please do share this as much as you can so that people are aware that this very important case is happening and that for Women in Scotland have done some great work on the background of this. And I hope that what this will do is shed a light on the utter ridiculousness of the whole situation of what happens when you place falsehoods in law about the reality, the most basic, the most fundamental anchor of reality of who we are as people, which is that there are two sexes, male and female, 4 categories, women and men, girls and boys. And that when you deviate from that, deviate is the word. All right? So go listen. I think it'll be fab. Good stuff.